And that means it's time for Coffee with CEF. Thank you so much for everybody for joining me on your Wednesday morning. My name is Katie Kevorkian, and I'm the Associate Director of Development at the Catholic Education Foundation. If this is the first time that you're joining us for Coffee with CEF, welcome. We are really, really glad to see you, and we're really glad that you're here with us today. The Catholic Education Foundation provides tuition awards to thousands of students every year thanks to the support of our donors. We are offering these virtual field trips into our schools to showcase our creative and resilient administrators, teachers, students, and families. So if you want to learn more of our schools, see more about what we do and all of the amazing creative work that is done in our Catholic schools, you can check out some of our past episodes at cefpn.org, Coffee with CEF, which is the same place that you RSVP'd today. And now I'm really, really excited to introduce our guest this morning from St. Thomas the Apostle Elementary School in Central Los Angeles. We have Adrian Cuevas and Vanessa Rivera. And from St. Pius X, St. Matthias Academy, we have Erick Rubalcava. The first question I have for all of you, very important question. I'm going to start with you, Erick. What is in your cup? What are you drinking this morning?
Morning, everyone. I'm drinking a blend of whole bean blend from Costco, Kirkland brand. I did a pour over this morning. So it's very good.
That is fancy. All right. I love your backdrop and your PMA gear. Looks great.
We've got to represent the last few days.
That's right. And Adrian, what do you have to drink today?
I have a cold brew with oat milk. I only drink cold coffee.
And is that what's on that mug?
Oh, you know, our St. Thomas logo. It's our St. Thomas mug.
Vanessa, what have you got?
I am drinking a hazelnut latte from Coffee Bean, but in a very special travel mug. I'm not sure if you can see, but it has Fight on Trojans on it, of course. And then on the other side, it's got our little logo too. So I'm missing college football so much right now, so I like to drink out of this one and pretend I'm, ready to go into the game.
Yes, I know. We're all missing things this year, but we have lots of interesting things to talk about with all the changes that we've had to make. You work in a really close-knit community, and you've had multiple generations of families graduate from your school. So can you tell me about this theme of family that you talked about when we met?
Definitely. So first of all, Katie, thank you so much for inviting us. We were a little surprised. We thought, there's tons of people you could have asked for these segments, but we definitely appreciate it. I got close to Katie just through development work, going to foundation events throughout the school year, and she was at Dolores Mission, and we became fast friends, and here we are. I'm so happy for her to be over at CEF. Family is just a theme, I think, that makes St. Thomas very special. I could kind of speak on that with my own personal experience. As Katie mentioned, I'm one of 4 who graduated from St. Thomas, and all went to Catholic high schools. My brothers went to Loyola. My sister went to Bishop Comedy down the street, and I went up to Immaculate Heart. We currently have 265 students. I'm going to share a couple numbers, right? So 265 students. That's through the pandemic, and which we'll get to a little bit later. But out of 265 students, we have 198 families. That means we have tons of siblings currently at St. Thomas, which we think is super, super special because it changes the dynamic of being on campus. Also proud to share that 16 alums are current parents at St. Thomas. That means their own children are now back at St. Thomas, my brother being one of them. My niece is currently in 1st grade, and she was part of the first TK class at St. Thomas, and now she's in 1st grade. I wish she would stop growing, but that's where we are. So it's so special to have her on campus or distance learning. And also 43 current students have either an older sibling or a relative who have graduated from St. Thomas. So I think that just kind of speaks to our family connections. Word of mouth, what do they say about St. Thomas and their experience here? And I think that's continued over the years. Go ahead.
So I think with that, bringing in also just someone who didn't grow up in the community, and even a testament on the faculty and staff side, again, speaking to what Vanessa said, there's a personal connection to this notion of family at St. Thomas. I was only supposed to teach summer school math for one summer. And then going on my 3rd year here, going on to my 5th year here at St. Thomas, and now my 3rd year as principal, it really speaks to how the community and the family welcomes you. You know, we really tried, and I honed in on that once I became principal, and I think our teachers can attest to that too. I'm very fortunate that with this mentality that we've embraced of really trying to create a collaborative union at the school, that we, you know, I haven't had to hire teachers in the past 2 years, and a lot of our teachers have been here for 10+ years. So it really shows the dedication that even the faculty and staff has to this family that we create at the school. And we really like to shed light on that. And I think all our families, and especially our alum families who continuously, generation after generation, come back and have a legacy with St. Thomas. And that's something that we honor and we don't take for granted. And I love, you know, the dedication that our teachers bring to ensuring that this continues at St. Thomas.
Well, thank you so much. So if you've never been to the school, it is truly a beautiful place. It looks like that you were able to, there's Adrian, to move into distance learning pretty well. Can you tell me a little bit about how that has been for you?
Sure. It was a big undertaking, as I am sure it was for PMA and all our other schools on here today. But again, going back to that collaborative effort, my team stepped up to the plate with all the entire vision I had. What we wanted to ensure, right when we found out we were going into distance learning, is we wanted to ensure that a day of instruction was not missed for our students in any capacity. And it was a bumpy road. I'm not gonna lie, and we have some of our parents here who have navigated with us the entire way and supported us. But really what we wanted was structure, right? And it's been improved now. And we created our handbook specifically for distance learning, where our teachers were able to present information to parents on their platforms that they're using, how we were going to communicate. We amplified the amount of time virtual instruction. We built in independent work as well, small group intervention to really help our students, and all that's laid out through the distance learning and throughout the day. It was really important for us to maintain structure for all our students, especially our little ones. So even certain policies, like we've asked our students to wear their uniform when they're on distance learning, to kind of help our parents set up that routine of like, hey, you have to get out of bed still even though we're at home because you have to get dressed for school. We've asked that our parents allocate a study area and that our students aren't Zooming from their bedroom or from the couch, so that there's really more of this attention while they're on distance learning. But then also, and one of the things that I foster with our teachers, it's let's try things. And that's really helped us. Let's really look into how we can innovate our curriculum. This is going to help us grow professionally as educators, instead of seeing it like, oh my God, this is daunting. What are we going to do? So we really looked at it as an opportunity to grow. I've asked my teachers to look into different applications that they want to launch. We've been able to really invest, and we can now say that throughout this first and second trimester, we're going to roll out our virtual curriculums. And now all our subjects, including religions, will have an online platform and really have that hybrid experience. So a combination between textbook, but also their online platform. And we're looking at it as the opportunity to grow as learners, right? What we're seeing at the high school and college levels are these online classes. So why not expose our TKers through 8th graders to this hybrid way of learning? And it was work, and it was investment, and it was research on what curriculum was going to best serve our students in a shorter amount of time. But that's where my staff came in. That's where the faculty came in. They're like, hey, Mr. Cuevas, we like this religion curriculum. We like this math curriculum. And we really now then also targeted our instruction to what we were going to do in distance learning. So that notion of one cookie cutter curriculum from TK through 8th was not going to work. So you're going to see at our school, even via distance learning, where we've broken them up in chunks. TK and kinder are one group, 1st and 2nd, then our middle elementary, 3rd through 5th, and then our middle school, which is 6th through 8th, and curriculums that are designed for their grade level, even at distance learning. It's touch and go at times because technology isn't always on our side, and our teachers are learning as they're implementing, which I commend them for that. And we also noticed that at distance learning, a key part was communication and looking into all avenues. So it was really empowering our community. And mind you, we work with a community who's not technology native. So it's really lending that helping hand to our parents who don't have access to the smartphones or technology, and how we're going to walk them through this, and making sure we had an avenue for communications for all access points. So we do our email blast. Now we have a text message blast. Our teachers use Class Dojo and their Google Classrooms. We have our website. We invested in making sure that our website was compatible and with any sort of device on any sort of cell phone, so our parents have that. Our teachers have also looked into their own Google phone numbers and how, you know, we communicate with parents to having individual grade level meetings, and we'll start launching that. I became a virtual principal where my announcements, I have a YouTube channel now and the kids love it. Before we had this larger platform. Now we're so blessed that we have the 500 person Zoom, so we can do our beginning of the week assemblies together. And it's really nice that, you know, our 300 plus member community can be there virtually, where before I was doing multiple takes and uploading to YouTube, and but you know, at least we were trying to navigate what we can do. So if anything, we've seen it as an opportunity to really try things out and take parent input. And I know it's been a struggle, because trust me, our first day back, all the iPads we lent out decided not to work, and that they needed to be updated on the spot as we were about to enter distance learning. But we rolled with those punches. We took the phone calls and walked our parents through it. So it's kind of how we're navigating. We're taking it step by step. So are our teachers, and definitely our parents, who have now also become academic coaches at home.
And I'd just like to add one thing to that. With distance learning, you know, our connection with our students and our families has, you know, in some way returned more than, you know, over the quarantine over summer. But mental health and counseling is also a huge, huge addition and service that we're able to offer our families. And to raise funds, I think she's here today through Counseling Partners of Los Angeles, which do incredible work all over the Archdiocese and their family of schools. You know, some of our students really need support, you know, outside of their parents, outside of their teacher. And for us to be able to bring that on, even, you know, telehealth is huge. And for it to be a free service to our families is truly a blessing. I know it hasn't been easy on us as adults. I can just imagine what the kids are going through. Not being able to be out on the yard, playing soccer, which was the thing. They would play soccer out in the basketball court all the way down to the turf. I know the kids miss it, but we're trying our best. Launching Spirit Weeks, anything we can do so that there's some sort of normalcy for the kids at home is our goal, along with, you know, all the incredible work our teachers are doing in ensuring academic excellence.
I want to now ask some questions to our third special guest this morning, Erick from PMA. I understand that you are wrapping up a decade at PMA. Can you tell us about your journey and the changes at the school over the past 10 years?
I'll tell you, it has been probably the most challenging journey I've ever had in my career, but also the most rewarding. I got called, I was serving as the principal at Sarah High School in Gardena. And at about January of 2010, the superintendent said, you know, we want to take you or the vice principal over to St. Matthias because only 14 kids had tested for the HSPT exam that year. There were 221 girls at the school. It was an all-girls school at that time. So we came up with a collaborative model back in 2010, where I became the president of both Sarah and St. Matthias, and our vice principal became the principal of the two. And we called it the Century Project. When we pitched it to the diocese, it was called the Century Project because they were connected by the Century Freeway. And it was, which is 105 freeway, and it was an attempt to try to stabilize the loss of, you know, income, all the challenges that St. Matthias was going through because they were slated to close, and it was very clear and evident. So when we got there, for about 2 years, I served as the president of the two, and then in 2012 we had a Loyola Marymount University Center for Catholic Education do a study, a feasibility study of the campus. It's a 17-acre campus that was actually the former home of Pius X High School in 1953 until 1998. In 1998, it became St. Matthias High School, which was founded in 1960 in Huntington Park, but they moved the girls to that campus. And so there was a lot of history there that we wanted to make sure we honored. And the feasibility study basically gave us 4 options. They said, you know, keep trying to be the all-girls school that you are, and do what you can to build the enrollment. That was option 1. Option 2, research and see if you can maybe do a co-institutional model where you separate the boys and the girls in learning, do a co-ed model, or the last one was close the school. And so we had actually John Smet who's a board member at CEF, was actually involved with the school, you know, helping with little minor initiatives that the school needed in different places. So we kind of formed a board with John's leadership and guidance. He became our first board chair, and started, you know, really outreaching to the community. Nobody wanted to see the school closed, so we ended up making it and deciding to go co-ed, bringing boys back to the school, and that launched in 2013. On August 9th, we relaunched and rebranded, did everything that we needed to do. You know, the kids had to really build their own school because they had to choose their mascot, choose the school colors, do everything that typical schools already have in place. The kids at that time were able to really take a leadership role, and that's one of the big things that we like. You know, my first day as principal, I tell this story all the time because it was one that was impactful. When I first got to the school, the first place I went to was a chapel. And I said, Lord, I don't know why you brought me here, especially after I saw the finances of the school. I thought, oh, Lord, how are we supposed to do this? I went to the chapel. I said, Lord, I don't know why you brought me here, but whatever it is that you have in store, please guide it and let me be whatever I need to do to, you know, work with people to grow it. My first day as principal, they brought a young lady to me. And Teresa Funk, actually, who's also a CPLA, she's at our school as well. She was in tears. I go, what's wrong, sweetheart? And she says, you know, I don't know if I can afford to come back for my senior year. I said, well, let me talk to your parents and see what I can do to help. She says, no, you don't understand. My mother has murdered my father, and my father is in jail, and I have to take care of my 4-year-old brother. You know, you don't get trained for that type of experience in any sort of education program. But at that moment, I knew why I was called to that school. My background is in counseling, marriage and family therapy. So I said, sweetie, do you have a uniform? She says, yeah. I said, just come to school, we'll figure it out. I called CEF. Teresa was a big advocate for helping that student, you know, guide her through the challenges she was going through. Me and the vice principal at that time, who is now our current principal, Veronica Zozaya, we went to the funeral for the father, and to see the dad side of the family on one side of the church, our student, her little brother, and one other student sitting by her in that church, I turned to Veronica, I said, we're all she's got. I said, we've got to carry her through this. You know, even today, she calls me every New Year's and sends me a text saying, thank you for what you guys have done. You know, it ended up being a domestic violence case. Mom's out of jail, 4-year-old brother's fine. But she had her own kids, got married, got her degree from Cal Poly Pomona. I mean, it's just a remarkable story, but that's the type of impact our communities have in the local community.
She did not just graduate from Cal Poly Pomona. She graduated last June, magna cum laude.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of us on this call.
Yeah.
And it's because of that school that didn't give up on her, because she had no chance.
Yeah.
And she is truly grateful. She's grateful for me, but what the school did, you were correct. You were her family. You kept her believing in herself. Magna cum laude. I didn't graduate magna cum laude. That's what a Catholic education does. Her brother, Catholic education. Her daughter, she gave birth to a daughter, baptized. That's what a Catholic education does. That's a family. That's a community.
Absolutely.
And I know many of the educators have similar stories that maybe they don't even know of what they're changing the lives. So
it is the heart of ministry, and that's where our tagline, you can see it behind me, recognize your significance. That's where it came from, that people recognize the significance. If you're not in the community, we know that you're not there. That's how much of a significant part you are. And that the school also offers tremendous opportunities for you to seize and do things with your life. You know, Archbishop Gomez passed a letter, for greater things you were born. That's what we're really trying to instill in our kids, in the hope for the future. And I think, you know, just that journey that we've had over the last 10 years to see where this campus has been. I mean, we had over $10 million in projects that were funded by the Smet Foundation and the Shea Family Charities. I saw Carrie Tilton here. We are so grateful for their support. Without the investment of the community and the leadership and the vision of the board, really that community would have faltered. You know, we serve a lot of the kids in the Watts areas. I see people from St. Odelia's. We serve all the communities that are really in greatest need, and yet have the greatest opportunity to capitalize on because of what Catholic schools offer. And so that's kind of our story. I mean, it's been a tremendous journey. I leave it. We just finished our first strategic plan, so I leave. I'm leaving in the midst of a transition to start a new strategic plan. But I know that the school is in good hands with the board that we have, and our school principal, Veronica, who was really my counterpart. I mean, part of the issue is leadership. Leadership, you've got to be able to trust those around you in order to make them happen. So the academic quality of the program really was Veronica's. That was her charge. She really took that, ran with it. I said, I'm trusting you because I'm not trained as an educator. I'm trained as a business guy and a counselor. So if that's what you think is best for this community, then I'm going to trust that to you. You know, and it's really just bringing a group of people together to serve that greater cause. And it's been quite a journey. Like I said, it's the most rewarding thing I've experienced in my entire life.
Thank you so much, Eric. If anybody has any questions for Eric, send them Sandra's direction. Just use the chat feature, and then we'll get to those in a bit. I also did want to welcome Trace. Thank you for being here, and thank you for chiming in with that update. That was wonderful. Also, later on in the season, we will have an entire episode that is going to be dedicated to mental and emotional health for our students. And Trace has been kind enough to help us with that. So stay tuned. That'll be coming up in a few weeks. I have another question for you, Eric. PMA is part of a program called Onward Scholars. And if any of you were at the season finale of season 1, we heard from a student who was an Onward Scholar, but at St. Mary's Academy in Inglewood. Can you tell us about the Onward Scholars program at your school? And
so, absolutely. This Onward Scholars program was actually an initiative of the John H. and Cynthia Lee Smet Foundation. John was our board chair. It actually started as what they called the Victorian Scholarship Program, which was managed by CEF. And that was back when we were St. Matthias. We were all girls. Victorian was the mascot of St. Matthias. So when we went co-ed, the SMETs also launched the initiative of Onward Scholars, and it really was to try to help the school attract academically qualified kids that would be leaders within their communities, that could also use assistance to come and serve, and attend a Catholic school. So it basically covers about 75% of the tuition for 12 kids in every grade. So if you can do the math, 75% of an $8,500 tuition is significant for a student to be able to attend the school. But what's great about the program, it's really transformed the community because it is forming, they have a designated Onward Scholars Program Director who at our place is a St. Matthias alumni, Melissa Turcios. And so she's doing a great job, and they mentor those kids into to helping them find their path for college and careers and those types of things, different initiatives they give them. They take them on college tours. I believe one year they went to Chicago and visited some of the universities out in Chicago. So it's a tremendous opportunity for kids to be able to get support where some of their families may not know how to apply for colleges or financial aid and all those types of things. This mentor helps them through that. And so we have about 48 scholars right now on the campus. And it really, when we were able to market that, it really turned the marketing capability of the school to be able to say, look, you're getting over a $25,000 scholarship to go to high school. And so when we have graduations, when we visit the 8th grade graduations, Onward Scholars gets to present their scholarship, and it's been a tremendous honor. So it's definitely, I know they're expanding the program, which I think is wonderful. So I know a few other schools, at St. Mary's was the second one, and I think they're looking at other schools as well. So it is a tremendous opportunity, but it is the heart of the SMET Foundation and the SMET family that, I mean, these people are incredible in wanting to see success and wanting to see kids thrive. And that is really their mission.
Thank you so much. I don't believe the SMETs are here with us this morning, but if there are any people who are associated with the SMET Foundation and Onward Scholars, thank you very much. I know I've met students who are part of this program, and it's, it is a relief of course, for their parents financially, but they're getting so much being part of an amazing cohort. So now I have another question for Vanessa and Adrian. You've got a pretty healthy enrollment at St. Thomas this year, and and as long as I've known you, you've had a pretty healthy enrollment. So can you tell us about your outreach efforts, and how do you fund low-income students? Because I imagine, given the neighborhood your school is in, that the majority, or maybe 100% of your students are low to moderate income and would need financial aid.
So thank you, Katie, for bringing that up. And I first want to start off by thanking our families and their commitment to St. Thomas and the investment that they make. We don't take that for granted, and that's why we work every day to make sure that the kids have a safe, nurturing, and loving environment. And even right now, via distance learning, right? So we know how hard our families work to provide this type of education. And the work that is done collectively, especially out of Vanessa's office, and also thank you to what CEF does for our families, it goes a long way, and we're thankful for that. So I just wanted to start this part with that, thanking our families, thanking our community partners who make it possible. And Vanessa will speak a little bit about what we do out of development to help our families, and then a few of our marketing stuff that we'll come to.
Thanks, Adrian. So as you know, enrollment is probably one of the most important, questions that you'll be asked, how's your enrollment? Because it's a strong indicator as to how your school is doing. Of course, the financials is a huge part of making it work. St. Thomas has been blessed with really healthy enrollment. Prior to even me coming, actually back in the 90s, there was always a waiting list. Our school has such a rich history from you know, the National Blue Ribbon that our school received in 1991, 1992 into the capital campaign, fundraising over $17 million to redo our campus, which if you've been to our campus, you know how incredibly blessed we are. Not a lot of schools in our area look the way ours does, but what's important is the mission hasn't changed even through that. And Vince is here, who was a huge part of that. Father Jay, who is here as well and is one of my mentors and one of my favorite people ever. St. Thomas, with this rich history, has had incredible pastors. Our parish is one of the largest in the Archdiocese of Los Angeles. I think the latest numbers, we were almost up to 14,000 registered families at St. Thomas Parish. Father Jay knows that all too well. Bishop Dennis O'Neill, who was here in the 90s, did incredible work. My brothers were altar servers. They'd go on the retreats. It's always been just a huge parish, very faithful parish, and mostly an immigrant community, right? And that hasn't really changed, although the areas around us has changed and there's development everywhere, new apartments. Downtown is a 10-minute drive from us. A lot of things have changed, but I think our little oasis here, the mission here hasn't changed, and I think enrollment is a huge indicator as to why our school has been able to be blessed with this. But definitely the financial part is huge. We've streamlined our financial aid process to, in a way, organize, right, our numbers and know what the need is. So when it's, I'm able to present that to supporters, foundations, I'm able to have that data available. CEF is huge, a huge partner for us. However, there is a big pool of families that don't qualify for CEF, but yet are in need, right? And so that's where we come in. That's where the Heritage Scholarship Fund will support the families so that they get a little bit of support to make it possible to have their children at St. Thomas. Now, I want to share a quick story now that I know Father Jay is here. I like to say my career in fundraising started at St. Thomas when I was an 8th grader, I think 7th or 8th grader. And Father Jay, along with Raymond Saborio, Vince O'Donoghue, they'd host scholarship parties at, you know, the homes of different supporters and benefactors. And I was asked to speak at this dinner party. And you know what? I was in 8th grade, and I know why. So I was super nervous. I think I drafted my speech 100 times. I read it at home 100 times, and I just wanted it to be perfect because I wanted to do my part in this special event, right? So I remember it was my time to go up and speak. I had my little paper ready to go. I kind of had a little moment where I was freaking out a little bit. And I think I actually just went off the paper and I just started speaking from my heart. And I may have spoken a little too much that night. I don't really remember. All I remember was that after that party, Father Jay and a supporter had a conversation. He talked about me, and my dream was to go to Immaculate Heart High School. And I was accepted, but the finance part was going to be tough for our family. And through that conversation and that relationship, this donor paid half my tuition for all 4 years at Immaculate Heart High School. And her and her husband, I will never forget what they did for me. And that was my first opportunity to speak from the heart, to be a storyteller, and in that process, bring support to not only my own case this time, but all students. And development, I believe, is wholeheartedly all about relationships. I think it's about building that trust. It's about showing that your school, your organization is meeting the needs of the people you serve. It's not, I think, effective to say these are our needs, right? You have to show that you're meeting the needs, and people will want to invest in your programs through that perspective. And I'm so proud to say Adrian is on board with that. Development, is not easy, especially during times where, the finance of everyone is being affected, But I think as long as we stay true and genuine to our mission, to the families we serve, to sharing our stories, just like Erick, I mean, I almost cried with the story you shared. It's so powerful. And we have tons of those stories. And if we don't share those, no one's gonna know, right? And so for that reason, I think we need to be open and transparent and show the good work that's done in our campuses. And in return, those dollars, those resources, all of that will come in due time. So
I can't echo that enough. That when I started here, I quickly caught on to the school speaks for itself, right? And then when I became principal, that mentality of really sharing our story, sharing who we are, was going to take us a long way. So even redesigning uniforms, the way that the kids presented themselves at Mass, letting them know that they're, walking advertisements for us, making sure our teachers have branding too, and that they're able to talk about their school, and really taking a holistic vision of development. Because it's not an easy task, and it's not an easy task just for one person or just Vanessa and myself. So we've taken an approach to development that may be untraditional, but we've involved all stakeholders in our community at this point. Mr. Junior, who's an icon, I would say, at our school, he's been here over 30 years. He's now also part of our development team and has brought in some benefactors that have helped our students. At the faculty level, we even have some teachers who want to try curriculum and want to try things, but they know, Mr. Cuevas, I know you may say no because of the budget or things like this, but guess what? I'll give you an example. My 5th grade teacher, she wanted to launch this science curriculum that we definitely could not afford at that time. So she found her own donor. And they ended up sponsoring the curriculum for our middle elementary. So when you're transparent with your faculty, when you're transparent with your parents, they kind of bring and take our story to whoever they feel will support us. We have some of our parents even logged on today who provide things that our community hadn't seen before. Before we went on distance learning, we had an alum who is now also has her kids here, and she was teaching yoga to our students. And at first our kids were reluctant, inner city school, predominantly Latino community who's not exposed to yoga on a day-to-day, and now we're doing this and they're asking to do it. Our 8th grade teacher worked so hard to get our 8th graders engaged in yoga, and by the end of it they were asking, so do we have yoga this week? And it went from like, we're not going to do that because teenagers and moving around like that just wasn't going to happen. So I started catching on that also, let's try it. And that's what I tell my teachers and my staff. Let's try it. Let's put our name out there. Let's try innovative and outside the box. Another thing, because you're never going to know who we're going to attract. We rely heavily on our community partners. And we were working with our sister school, Good Shepherd, and they invited us to an interfaith night at an LAFC game, right in our backyard. We were able to take our boys soccer team and some of their family members and other students, and it was interfaith, and they had the Jewish faith represented us. We were representing the Catholic faith. They had the Muslim faith, and we were all sitting in one section. But then, unbeknownst to me, they're like, we need to interview the principals or whoever the rep is, and we're going to go on the Jumbotron. And I was like, what? So they asked us, and I at this point, I can't even remember what they asked, but to that point where I was then walking to the restroom, and there were some alums from St. Thomas who were actively looking for me because they had just seen me. And they're like, that's so cool that you would do that as a principal. You brought these kids. Can I get information on how to enroll my child? We want to bring them back. So you never know what's going to put, and that's what I said. Our kids were there. They had a wonderful experience. We're all about swag also and taglines and really catering to the student of today with social media and their hashtags and what that's going to do. And now we involve everyone, and we created, again, echoing this whole idea of family, where we now have like the tagline, for example, and it became our go-to is "We are St. Thomas." And for everything we are, and you'll see that we put it out there. We're even going to put these out there for our families, and we'll have shirts that say "We are St. Thomas." We add that, and our kids are starting to say that. They add it to their social platforms. So without having a huge marketing budget, we're seeing that that relation that Vanessa speaks to can be found even just with small things or thinking out of the box or saying yes to certain things. And I'm thankful for the team effort and even our teachers stepping up to like, I can bring in a couple of dollars, our families, I can provide a service, and our loyal benefactors who are like, because we see tangible examples of what St. Thomas is doing. Because for me, I love what I do. I tell people I have the best job in the world. And there's so many wonderful school leaders that precede me, and I have a legacy to uphold. And, you know, for me, these kids are my kids. And I hope our family parents know that, right? I tell them it's so hard to not have the kids filling these hallways with noise right now, you know, but we're working to making sure that at least they have that St. Thomas spirit via distance, you know. And I joke around with the kids. I was like, I've created this culture where the principal's office isn't just where you go when you're in trouble. And our kids really took to that. I had kids coming in here, do you have a snack, Mr. Cuevas? Or our middle schoolers, can I talk about life? Or what's your suggestion on this? Can you look at my essay? And I love that. I love that my kids know that there's an open door policy for them in the principal's office, but then that trickles out. They go and tell them, oh, I talked to my principal about everything. I talked to Ms. Rivera. The office staff is so welcoming. So when people hear those stories, it really attracts them to what we do.
And my next question is for Erick. I actually have two quick questions for Erick. I am not going to ask you if you've been affected by the global pandemic and the recession, but I wanted to ask you how, and is there a way that we can help you, that the others that from on the outside can help you and invest in your school?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I think all of us have been affected. We've taken a little bit of an enrollment hit. We were at 425 students last year, and we're about 406 this year. So we've lost about 20 students. And that obviously has an impact on the budget. Our biggest needs right now are obviously the assistance for families that are really, really struggling. We're doing everything we can to try to help them. The other one is in technology. Any technology initiatives. I know we've written a couple of grants. Some of the infrastructure that we have, the infrastructure is good, but the laptops that the teachers use and some of the things that the students have or don't have are the biggest needs that the school has right now. We're in the midst of looking at possible capital campaigns. We've already done 2 phases of the campus master plan that was developed. And so we're exploring with the guidance of the Shea Family Charities, helping us in that area. But really it's the tuition dollars and that assistance, and then technology. Anything for technology would be the greatest thing to help. So we do have our No Worry Left Behind campaign that we launched this year, and that was really specifically to help kids that are struggling financially and their families that are struggling. We've had like I said, we've had a loss of about 20 kids this year from last year. But you know, one of the things that I've learned, or kind of a psalm that I've made kind of my mantra, Psalm 90, Lord, give success to the work of our hands and guide us in all that we do. That's been my prayer through this entire time, and it seems to be God seems to be hearing it. So
Erick, we talked about the past. I know you've got something happening in just a few days. So what does the future hold for you?
for me personally, so unexpectedly, you know, when people ask me to serve, I'll typically, you know, pray about it and discern. But I was asked to consider serving as an assistant superintendent of high schools at the Department of Catholic Schools. So I'll be transitioning out. Friday will be my last day at Pius Matthias, and I'll be working with the DCS team. Really, I see it as an opportunity to help other school leaders. I mean, like I said, we've gone and seen a transformation at our place. If I can share a little bit of what I learned with other school leaders to help them, and you know, and help the department strengthen its mission, then I'm happy to do it. You know, as challenging as our times are right now, you know, I prayed about it, sought some guidance from different folks, and I'm going to be serving starting Monday, the 21st. So I will be at DCS on Monday.
All right, I've asked you all to unmute so that we can give a round of applause to Erick Rubalcava for your 10 years of service to Pius Matthias Academy. Thank you, Eric.
Please, I just say, please pray for me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We all need the prayers. Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations. And I'm sure I'll see you around. We'll only be a floor away from CEF and the Department of Catholic Schools. So congratulations, Eric. But I wanted to say right now, I just wanted to thank you all for your support, and thank you so much, Eric, especially on your last week of work, to take the time to spend with us. Vanessa and Adrian, we know how busy the first few weeks of school are, and how busy you are dealing with all the changes with the virtual learning. So thank you so much for being here. And for everyone who came here and is taking an hour out of your morning to be with us for coffee and to learn about our schools, thank you so much for all of your support, especially during this time. Our school principals and pastors are working hard to make sure that all of our Catholic schools are available to everyone who wants to enroll. And right now, this is a very difficult time with our Catholic schools that, of course, with job loss and families experiencing health crises, that it's very difficult for families to continue to pay tuition, even a very low amount at our Catholic schools. It's always the goal that no family is turned away for lack of funds, and now it's increasingly difficult to offer the amount of financial aid that is needed by individual students. If you can give right now, please visit our website at cefdn.org, and 100% of your donations will go to student scholarship through our tuition awards program, which we serve the neediest students in elementary school and high schools in the Archdiocese of Los Angeles. And I just wanted to say again, thank you all for coming. And we're going to be back next week to learn about blended learning and distant learning with Richard Montiel from St. Odelia's in South LA. So we'll see you next week at 10 a.m. for Coffee with CF. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.